各位同學，今日講嘅係 past tenses. Applying past tenses in writing short story 4. When writing stories, use the past perfect tense and past perfect continuous tense correctly. For past perfect continuous tense, it is useful for describing 1. Something that started in the past and continued up to another action or event. Tells us how long. She had been working at that company for a year when she met James. This tells us how long something had continued before another event in the past. 2. Cause of something in the past. The pavement was wet. It had been raining. It was raining before the time in the past. Past perfect tense 個形式咧就係一個 had 加一個 past participle. For example, you had studied English before you moved to Hong Kong. Had you studied English before you moved to Hong Kong? You had not studied English before you moved to Hong Kong. 我下頁去直。Use one completed action before something in the past. The past perfect expresses the idea that something occurred before another action in the past. It can also show that something happened before a specific time in the past. For examples, I had never seen such a beautiful beach before I went to Hawaii. I did not have any money because I had lost my wallet. Tony knew Istanbul so well because he had visited the city several times. Had Susan ever studied Thai before she moved to Thailand? She only understood the movie because she had read the book. Christine had never been to an opera before last night. We were not able to get a hotel room because we had not booked in advance. Had you ever visited the U.S. before your trip in 2015? Yes, I had been to the U.S. once before. Use to duration before something in the past. Non-continuous verbs. With non-continuous verbs and some non-continuous uses of mixed verbs, we use the past perfect to show that something started in the past and continued up until another action in the past. Examples. We had had that car for 10 years before it broke down. By the time Alex finished his studies, he had been in London for over 8 years. They felt bad about selling the house because they had owned it for more than 40 years. Although the above use of past perfect is normally limited to non-continuous verbs and non-continuous uses of mixed verbs, the words live, work, teach, and study are sometimes used in this way, even though they are not non-continuous verbs. Important specific times with the past perfect. Example, she had visited her Japanese relatives once in 2013 before she moved in with them in 2016. Moreover, if the past perfect action did occur at a specific time, the simple past can be used instead of the past perfect when before or after is used in the sentence. The words before and after actually tells you that what happens first, so the past perfect is optional. For this reason, both sentences below are correct. Examples. She had visited her Japanese relatives once in 2013 before she moved in with them in 2016. She visited her Japanese relatives once in 2013 before she moved in with them in 2016. However, if the past perfect is not referring to an action at a specific time, past perfect is not optional. Compare the examples below. Here, past perfect is referring to a lack of experience rather than an action at a specific time. For this reason, simple past cannot be used. 睇下以下邊一句係正確喎？第一句 She never saw a bear before she moved in Alaska. She had never seen a bear before she moved to Alaska. She never saw a bear, but the answer is she never saw a bear before she moved to Alaska is wrong. So that she had never seen a bear before she moved to Alaska is correct. Adverb placement. The examples below show the placement for grammar adverbs such as always, only, never, ever, still, just, etc. Examples: You had previously studied English before you moved to Hong Kong. Have you previously studied English before you moved to Hong Kong? Active and passive. Examples: Mark had prepared many cars before he received his mechanic's license. This is active. Many cars had been repaired by Mark before he received his mechanic's license. This is passive sentence. Past perfect continuous tense. Form. Just have been plus one present participle. For example, you had been waiting there for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived. Had you been waiting there for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived? You had not been waiting there for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived. We use the past perfect continuous to show that something started in the past and continued up until another time in the past. For 5 minutes and for 2 weeks are both durations which can be used with the past perfect continuous. Examples: They had been talking for over an hour before Tony arrived. She had been working at that company for 3 years when it went out of business. How long had you been waiting to get on the bus? Mike wanted to sit down because he had been standing all day at work. James had been teaching at the university for more than a year before he left for Asia. A. How long had you been studying Turkish before you moved to Ankara? B. I had not been studying Turkish very long. Using past perfect continuous before another action in the past is a good way to show cause and effects. Examples: Jason was tired because he had been jogging. Sam gained weight because he had been overeating. Betty failed the final test because she had not been attending class. Task 1. The Science Club held the Young Inventors competition last week. You put up pictures of the competition on your blog. Complete the story based on the pictures using the correct past tenses. Team. For months to make the breakfast machine work, unfortunately the stirring swooned suddenly. We give you some pictures and show you the events. The answer is Tim. had been trying for months to make his breakfast machine work. Unfortunately, the stirring spoon suddenly flew off when he switched the machine on. The crowd had been slowly gathering around Tina's invention. Electrocat. Everyone had been wondering for the past few weeks whether she had made it work. But when Tina put in the batteries, Electrocat melted. It was great. Tina won first prize. Jeff had been working on a pin that could transform into an umbrella. When he pushed the button, the umbrella popped out, but it also squirted ink all over Shelley Lau. I had been working forward to this competition for ages. I hadn't expected to win anything, but in the end, I won second prize. Complete the following by underlining all the examples of past continuous tense and past perfect tense and past perfect continuous tense in the following narrative about the passages. The mood in the main auditorium of the Hong Kong Academy for Performance Arts was tense last night, as it was the last set of rehearsals before opening night. The tension was mixed with fatigue, especially since everyone working on earth, wind, water, and fire. The Hong Kong acting group's new play had been working really hard all week to get things just right. Even I was extremely tired, and I was just a lowly summer intern who'd been working on the sets and had relatively few responsibilities. Watching blurry-eyed from behind the scenes while the actors were acting out of the final scene again, I looked at my watch and was hopeful that we'd be able to go home soon. Okay, everyone, let's do another run through with the sets, props and special effects, asked Mr. Chen, the director. I want everything to be perfect for tomorrow night before we leave. Just like that, my hopes were dashed. Jenny, the lead actress, and someone I'd quickly become good friends with, turned to walk backstage and rolled her eyes. Realizing that I'd noticed her, we both laughed. Suddenly, there was a loud scream from the other end of the stage. When everyone rushed over, we saw that Mr. Lau, the backstage manager, was lying on the floor and turning blue. 1 minute, he was standing next to me. The next, he was down on the ground. Whimpered Jessica, one of the supporting actresses. Is it okay? She cared to no one in particular. However, everyone seemed to be in the state of shock. So they were just standing around the man instead of doing something to help him. I realized immediately that Mr. Lau must be choking on something. He wouldn't have been turning into a brewery otherwise. Help me to stand him up, I shouted at Joe and Matt, the two strongest members of the acting group. After they did as I asked, I got behind Mr. Lau. I then put my left fist just below his ribs, and with all my strength, I hit the first towards me with the palm of my right hand. Suddenly, a big chunk of chocolate flew right out of Mr. Lau's mouth, and he started breathing again. Of course, everyone was really happy about this. Mr. Chen decided that this was enough excitement for one day. So he ended the final rehearsal right there and then. Answers. The mood in the main auditorium of the Hong Kong Academy of Performance was last night as it was the last set of rehearsals. Because there's a passage, this passage is just like the last one, the previous one, so I don't want to repeat the passage again. Past continuous tense. Watching blurry-eyed from behind the scenes while the actors were acting out the final scene again. I looked at my watch and was hopeful that we'd been able to go home soon. Suddenly, there was a loud scream from the other end of the stage. When everyone watched over, we saw that Mr. Lau, the backstage manager, was lying on the floor and turning blue. 1 minute, he was standing next to me. However, everyone seemed to be in a state of shock, so they were just standing around the man instead of doing something to help him. Past perfect tense. We can see from Jenny, the lead actress, and someone I had quickly become good friends with, turned to walk backstage and rolled her eyes. Realizing that I had noticed her, we both laughed. And come to past perfect tense. Past perfect continuous tense. The tension was mixed with fatigue, especially since everyone working on earth, wind, water, and fire. The Hong Kong acting group's new play had been working really hard all week to get things just right. I was just a lowly summer intern who had been working on the sets and had relatively few responsibilities. Exercise. Please complete the following by filling the correct past tenses. The third experience has paused for all that I thought was lots of fun. The dance party that we, at the end of the camp. Many friends during the camp, but the party gave us a chance to spend time with one another in a completely different setting. Luckily, we all a really good time as I more time getting to know all new friends from camp better during those 2 weeks. The answer should be like that. The third experience as fast forward that I thought was lots of fun was the dance party that we had at the end of the camp. I had already made many friends during the camp, but the party gave us a chance to spend time with one another in a completely different setting. Luckily, we all had a really good time as I had been spending more time getting to know all new friends from camp better during those 2 weeks.